Good evening. Welcome. Welcome to the regular council meeting this evening, Tuesday, January 16th. If you have a phone or electronic device, I'd ask you to place it on silent. I call this meeting to order, and we will observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Domingo, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Barnes. Reed. Brown.
Here.
Lawler.
Here.
Spicer.
Here.
French.
Here.
And Mayor Brown.
Here. Mayor and council members' comments. I would ask the council if we can add to the agenda recognition of the Harrington Elementary School MLK essay contest winners, just to add that under presentations as item D. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there moved and seconded? There's no discussion. We do a voice vote. Roll call. Let's do a voice vote. All those in favor say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Opposed? Okay, that is added as item D under presentations. Are there any council member comments this evening? Councilmember French, Councilmember Spicer.
I would defer to Councilwoman Spicer.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one quick announcement with regard to the Black History Month that's coming up in February. There will be a first annual music celebration to be held on Monday, February 20, I believe that is 6th, at the Bone Theater. It begins at 7 p.m. The doors open at 6:15. Tickets are available for purchase from Ronnie Sims or Sabrina Cyrus, and you can also pick up tickets at Sterling Books and Brews in downtown. If everyone is available and can come out and share in this music celebration, it would be much appreciated. And that's for Black History Month celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. Sydney, Councilmember French.
Thank you. I just wanted to publicly say thank you to all the volunteers who helped make last night's MLK community dinner a huge success. We had in excess of 230 or so people, maybe more, enjoying dinner that was provided with lots of sponsorship from Oaklawn Hospital to the college's Bon Appetit Food Service to Homestead Savings Bank and many others. We really couldn't have done it without the input from the community and the help from those community volunteers. I'd especially like to acknowledge Ms. Cressy Vargo, sitting here in the front, who's my VISTA leader, who was sort of the point person, and the rest of the VISTA team, Lauren and Ryan and Leah and Andrew and Andrew and Andrew and Andrew and Andrew and Andrew and Chris. And Marquetta. And so they all worked very hard to bring about this great event, and we hope that this will become, once again, annualized like we used to do in Albion years ago. So thanks again to everybody.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from council this evening? Okay. Seeing none, we will move forward to the city manager report.
Thank you. And Mayor and Council, I'm going to keep my remarks this evening very brief, because I'll start coughing if I talk too much. What you have before you in front of your seats is the updated general fund information. If you recall, there were amendments at the last meeting before you made the adoption of the budget. So this is just to replace the pages in section 5 of your budget books. Also, in case you haven't noticed, Superior Street is not in ideal condition. MDOT is well aware of the road not meeting standards, and they are investigating the cause, and we expect to hear from them shortly in regards to how they're going to resolve that matter. Also, on January 29th, there is the MLK convocation at the Bone Theater. It's also at 7 p.m., and Mike Williams will be the speaker. I believe the NAACP is hosting a reception beforehand at the Ludington Center. And the EDC is having their economic forecast meeting on February 1st. That's a Thursday at 5 p.m. So everyone will be invited to attend that as well.
Thank you. We will move on to presentations. We'll begin with item A under presentations. Presentations from Richard Lindsay and Talia Phillips for Oakland Hospital.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, City Manager. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I just want to go over a couple things that are current. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to address you and to kind of keep you in the loop on what's going on relative to Oakland. First of all, it was announced last month that Oakland Hospital was rated a 5-star CMS rating. Again, there are 10 hospitals in the state of Michigan to receive the 5-star rating, so it's 5 out of the 5 stars. We're the only one in Calhoun County, only one in Jackson County that received a 5-star rating, so we're very honored to do that, and again, part of our commitment, ongoing commitment to quality. Albion Marshall Connector, we've had a couple of good discussions, good meetings. Mayor Brown attended one of the meetings, and Council Member Marco Lawlers attended, I think, both of the meetings. I think we made some good headway relative to a long-term plan, long-term in the sense of at least 3 years to get to the point where there's a county transportation plan. So Oakland is very glad to be part of that conversation. We also, and we will continue to be a funder of that going forward. We also, along with the City of Albion, supported a grant application by the Battle Creek Community Foundation that's hopefully going to provide some additional resources for that going forward. So we're excited to see that. Albion Healthcare Alliance, and just bring this up because this was in the advisor over the weekend. Oakland has been, was one of the founding members of the Albion Healthcare Alliance, along with Bronson Hospital, continue to support that going forward. I've had the opportunity to meet some wonderful people in being part of that, and we continue to work with the Albion Healthcare Alliance to support healthcare here in Albion. This is probably the worst kept secret anywhere, but Albion College and Oakland have been working to develop a clinic in Albion. We were actually worked with Mike Noss' office last year, and with the support of Don Bizon and our representative Dave Maturin, to obtain a grant of $850,000 from the state legislature. So that was finalized as part of this year's budget. So the money is in place and ready to go. We've been working with Albion College to locate where that would be. Part of the problem, just the issue in Albion, or the fact in Albion, is there's not a lot of buildings that are ADA compliant, that are ready to go, that are in the right location. So we are currently looking at Munger Place as where that would be located at. So the thought would be that we would be a clinic that would both be after hours, extended hours for the community, and also would serve the Albion College students, and would also have Summit Point would be co-located in the same place. So we are in the midst of those discussions. I think the college would like to have something in place for the next school year, so really excited about that. We've also had some discussions with the health department about maybe locating in their short term until we get the construction finished at that location. So stay tuned, more to follow on that. But again, that's one of the things that's been a concern. The Albion City Council, I think, expressed that as one of the goals, was to have after hours, extended hours care. So hopeful that we can put that in place. The job fair, actually, was a conversation I had with Mayor Brown probably about a year ago about working with the city on a job fair. The EDC did a very nice job of putting partners together relative to that. Oakland attended the job fair. We had over 100 people that were there, so it was a fantastic result. Liked it so much, we're going to take it to Marshall and do the same thing in Marshall. So, thank you for setting that up, and I think it was an excellent outcome. Oakland was glad to be part of that. Our auction is coming up on March 10th, so I'd like to invite all of you to attend the auction. It is the biggest fundraiser for Oakland. We raised right around $100,000 for the community, for Oakland's mission. Like to have all of you attend. It's at the casino. It starts about 5:30 in the evening, goes to about 10 o'clock. If you don't buy anything, there's food, and it's just a good time, a good night, and a good event. There's all the details are on our website and also oaklawnhospital.com and also on our Facebook page, Oaklawn. I do want to mention that I'm a member of the leadership cabinet of the Coordinating Council. So the Coordinating Council has members from a couple different organizations in the community. It tends to be, as some things do in Calhoun County, it tends to be more focused on the west side of the county. So I would like to extend the invitation to the Albion City Council to kind of think about somebody from the east side of the county that could possibly be on that. There is a spot available, and again, for the purpose of people in Battle Creek, 11 Mile Road is the edge of the county. We remind them that we're over here on this side of the county. So again, if there's anyone that's available and interested, let me know or let Dr. Mitchell know. I'd be glad to relay that back. So the last thing I'd like to mention, I wanted to show this short video, so I appreciate having the opportunity to show this. A lot of what this video was prepared for an award that Oaklawn applied for, which is related to the Baldridge Award. So the Baldridge Award is a national quality award. There's a whole bunch of hoops that we have to jump through. It really comes down to measuring everything we do. So instead of saying we're just going to do it and then we hope it goes really well, we have to show how we measure that. And so in this video, and Dr. Phillips is kind of one of the stars of the video, so you'll see as you watch the video, there's a lot of discussion of something called the outward mindset. And so that outward mindset is, I think I know what Dr. Mitchell wants, and I think I know what she's trying to accomplish, and I think I know what Mayor Brown wants to accomplish and where he wants to go. But I've never actually asked either one of them. So the outward mindset is that I meet with and I talk to and I actually ask the question. That's part of why I'm here tonight is I don't know what it is that you're trying to accomplish unless I actually physically ask you the question. So a big part of the outward mindset is to try to accomplish my goals through trying to understand what it is you're trying to accomplish. And you kind of think we kind of do this, but we don't always actually ask the question. So again, in healthcare, it really relates to healthcare because you got to ask the patients what it is, what are they trying to accomplish, what it is what's wrong with them, what are they trying to accomplish, what can I do to solve their issues or help to solve their issues. So that's kind of the mindset behind what way Oaklawn is trying to basically move forward in the healthcare world right now. So with that kind of little bit of introduction, I'd like to introduce this video. I'll start it. Okay, I'm going to sit down while it plays and I'll stand.
Exceptional patient care at Oaklawn is the everyday expectation. Treating everybody like your mom or your dad, your brother, your sister, your son or your daughter, your best friend. It means treating them the way that they want to be treated. It means not just meeting those expectations, but exceeding them, because the only reason we're here is to take care of people.
I believe that every patient has a story. And I feel it's my responsibility to find out what that story is so that we can come up with an individualized plan of care to meet their healthcare needs as well as hopefully exceed their expectations.
An outward mindset is about looking for the things that our population, that our patients, the people that we serve, what can we do to help them achieve their aim?
When a patient comes into physical therapy, whatever their goals are, I want to be my goals for them as well.
Our expectations are very high. The bar is set very high. We all know that, we understand that, and we really work hard to achieve it.
So CARES is an acronym, actually. It stands for communicate, acknowledge, recognize, explain, and say thank you. What do you want to have when you come into any healthcare organization? What are the things that you value? And the things that they valued were things like respect. So that's interesting, but how do you demonstrate respect? And so we got down to the nitty-gritty on what are the specific behaviors we're looking for when we're talking about being respectful to another individual or a patient. And it came down to eye contact. It came down to listening, active listening. And what does even active listening look like? We talked about the tone of voice. Is it a caring tone? Is it high-pitched? Does it feel rushed? How fast do you talk? We could use that information then and apply it to each one of those steps in cares. Each touch point that we have in this organization with a patient really demonstrates and can communicate truly the compassion that we have.
For me, real people means me choosing to be authentic about who I am as a provider and what I believe good healthcare is.
I've never worked at a hospital that is just so involved in the patient's care from beginning to end. It's brought me back to the heart of nursing. Like, I feel more compassionate as a nurse, and I feel like I have the tools and the support to be that.
They expect us to give high quality care. They expect us to have great technology, which we do. Part of our mission of providing high quality care, it is not just the medicine that we do, the technical things that we do, but it's also the caring compassion that we show for them.
We genuinely welcome new people on our team and look forward to working with people, knowing those people have their experiences to offer, just like we do. Oakland's tagline is real people, real care, and what that means to me is we're genuine. Like, we put our hearts out there for patients and for their families. It's patient-driven.
I'm relentless about everything I do. And what I'm here to do at Oaklawn is to give my patients the best, compassionate, comprehensive care that they've ever had.
Oaklawn to me seems very open to growth, development, and really listening to what nurses have to say. I do feel like anything that is brought forward, as long as it's best for the patient, it's evidence-based, that it is taken seriously and it's looked at as an actual possibility.
The network is a group of employees and owners that, the main drive and focus is to implement change in the organization. The Arbiter training focuses on an outward mindset. And where does work really get done based on lean principles is it's done currently with the employees. And with those individuals exuding an outward mindset, we could harness their ideas, something that you probably wouldn't get from a board or from a leadership standpoint, because they're not doing the day-to-day work. And we brought a group together that could help to lead our employees for those changes. So ideas would come to the network, we will sit and discuss those ideas and give them peer-to-peer connections that allow them to make decisions, create a game plan, create a solution. We have had over 100 suggestions in this last year, and we've successfully implemented 35 since April of this year.
Voice of the Customer Advisory Committee came about because we felt that there was a need to get feedback from our community members and from our patients to see what it was that they valued and also what it was that we could do to help enhance their experience here at Oaklawn Hospital. One example would be better wayfinding throughout the hospital. That has been a huge one. Small signage around the hospital. We were able to change the font and boldness to help make it more visible by post-stroke patients and also colorblind patients. To recruit our members for VOCAP committee, we go out in the community to try and reach out to them to help give us another perspective of diversity.
Looking back over the last 4 years, VOCAC has provided me with the opportunity to feel a sense of fulfillment knowing that when a patient comes to the hospital, what we're doing is making a difference. One of the things that we determined throughout the redesign of the dense breast tissue letter is that the Oakland experience doesn't just start and it doesn't just end when you're physically at the hospital. It starts when you're out in the community or when you receive that letter in your mailbox. And that's one of the things that keeps me engaged and motivated and looking toward the future. How can we make Oakland better, and how can we keep improving the Oakland experience of each and every patient?
This is a community hospital in the center of the community that everybody understands how important Oakland is to this community.
The hospital exists in the community that it serves, and it lives in the community that it serves. Just like a lot of the people that work here, do as well. So we have a vested interest in the health and well-being of the people.
We've gone from being a kind of a mid-level employer in the community to the largest employer. And I guess with that comes some responsibility. We drive things like home sales, and we drive things like the school system. I mean, we're very involved in all aspects of this, and let's make the community better. Let's drive the community forward in a positive manner.
You will have endless opportunities to connect with the community at large, to serve the community at large, to be engaged with what's happening in the community, to help the community grow. This is a great place to be.
That's very much the outward mindset. And we don't sit and wait for things to happen to us. We're asking the people we serve, what can we do to help you succeed? But this is about serving the community, and this is what Oaklawn has done and will continue to do.
I want us to be an enterprise of healthcare. You know, we're so used to thinking of the four walls, but we're more than that.
We have exceptional staff. They're very, very well qualified. We have exceptionally qualified physicians. But more than just the technical qualifications, they truly love our patients and their families and taking care of them. And you can feel that in the care.
Thank you all for your indulgence, and again, as you saw, Dr. Phillips was a large focus of that. So I do want to say just one thing I pointed out that was fun. When Dr. Davis, superintendent, first saw that, he said, when the hospital drives the school, I said, we're all together, Dr. Davis, we're all working on these things together. So I want to introduce for just a couple minutes Dr. Phillips. Again, you saw, I think probably everybody knows her. I'm not sure if she really needs an introduction. We are really happy to have her at Oaklawn. I just wanted to have her to say a couple words to the City Council. So.
Good evening. Good evening. I apologize because I will have a very difficult time turning my back to half of the room. And so honestly, the wonderful people that are in front of me are just as important to the wonderful people that are behind me. I feel at home. Amen. I did not have a speech prepared, but just wanted to take time to say thank you, most importantly, to my Albion family. I have been a part of the Albion community for 82 years, hallelujah. And so you are the faces, you are the people who have prayed me through, pushed me through, encouraged me through, fed me through this journey. And I'm here because this is home for me. And I'm here because my heart's commitment is to give what you gave to me back to you. Long before Oaklawn, my heart was Albion, and all the way through Oaklawn and to glory, my heart will be Albion. So I'm honored to serve you, not just through medicine, but serve my husband in ministry. This is home for me. So bless you, call me, let me bless you. Amen. Any questions? I don't know the protocol. This is politics, and I do medicine. Okay. Well, thank you.
And again, I would just ask City Council, thank you very much for the opportunity to address you tonight. Again, I'll ask the question, if there's anything we can do at Oaklawn, please let me know. Any questions, always feel free to have Dr. Mitchell be glad to reach out or ask us. So any questions about anything at this point? All right, thank you very much for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll move on to item B under presentations, the Cardboard Classic Sled Race, presentation by Eric Worley and Stacy Levin.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council, City Manager. Thank you for allowing Stacy and I to come here and talk about a fun event we have going on. But I just wanted to first make sure we acknowledge and congratulated Councilmember French and the Vista team on the amazing program they put on last night. I think it was great to see everyone there. Like Andy said, there was 230 some people there last night. All different kinds, all different ages. The essays were amazing last night. The dancers, the singers, Marquetta singing. Man, so it was just a great evening. It's good to hear from Mayor Brown and City Manager Mitchell. Other council members were there last night, so it's just a great event, and yeah, I hope it does become a yearly thing. So another thing we want to make become a yearly thing, weather permitting, is the Downhill Classic sled race. I know the last couple years we've been hit with some weather challenges, so if you look outside right now, I think we're on the right track to have this event take place. It's very cold and very snowy. So we have the actual race is planned for February 3rd. 10 to 11 is going to be our registration time. The 11:15 will start the sled design judging. You can either build a sled just to be judged on its artistic merits, but you can also have that sled be an actual competition sled. So you can do either one. You can build one just for judging or for judging and racing. The races will start at noon, and depending on how many people show up, we'll have heats based on age divisions until then, and we won't leave until we have a winner. If the weather's not permitting that day, if it's not conducive to racing, we have a contingency date that's going to be February 17th, 2 weeks after that event. Stacy has a little bit of information as to how you can get your sled prepared.
Oh, yes. So, a week before the February 3rd race, we are holding a sled building and pre-registration event on Saturday, January 27th at the Albion Community Center, located at Marshall Opportunity High School cafeteria. Participants can come down anytime between 9 a.m. and 12 to pick up free sled building supplies, build a sled, and or pre-register.
Yeah, so this is definitely a partnership. You'll be able to see on the posters we're putting out, this is a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, with the City of Albion, with Albion Department of Public Safety, and then the Albion Recreation Department. We find out that these events happen best and happen most successfully when there's many people involved, and it just kind of reinforces that sense of community we're trying to foster here in Albion. So we know that as many people involved, we can put out a really good program. So not only on the planning side, but also on the sponsorship side, we've been able to get 18 sponsors, businesses and organizations willing to pitch in and help make sure this event happens. Knopf Installation is at the top of our list. They were the headline sponsor, so we really appreciate Knopf Installation.
And right behind is Decker Manufacturing. Thank you for your generous donation as well.
And then the rest are just in alphabetical order. AAUW.
Ashley Reniger, Realtor.
The Albion College Student Volunteer Bureau and Campus Programs and Organizations.
Albion Heritage Bed and Breakfast.
Big B Coffee is going to be donating some coffee and hot chocolate for the event.
Boy Scout Troop 158.
The Calhoun County Recycling Center is going to help us with some cardboard for it.
Dickerson Music, who's donating sound and PA systems, and Kelly Kidder's magnificent expertise.
If you've heard anything in Albion, it's probably thanks to Kelly Kidder. Granger is also going to help with some cardboard donations as well.
Haas Trucking will hold that cardboard. Thank you for that trailer.
Cullen Harkness and the Harkness Law Firm is helping make this happen as well.
Homestead Savings Bank.
The Lions Club.
Team One Plastics.
Tractor Supply is helping out with tape and glue and other things to make sure their sleds don't disintegrate on their way down the hill.
And spray paint for the finish line and starting line. And yesterday's news.
Yeah, so we've got great participation between different city entities and then sponsors as well. Thanks for allowing Stacy to come up here and talk about the event. I enjoy coming to these because I always get to come talk about something fun that's happening. So thanks for having us. We'll have updated information as it becomes available on the Cardboard Classic Facebook page. If you search Albion, Michigan Cardboard Classic, you can find the page there, and also the Chamber's Facebook page will be echoing out any announcements that happen for that.
And the city's website as well.
Yes, they're on the... It is the cityofalbion.gov/visitors/Cardboard Classic, and you should hopefully be seeing posters that look like this appearing around town. If you're interested in participating, we do have a corporate trophy that is a traveling trophy. So if you're part of a business organization that wants to design a sled or race a sled, there's a trophy you can put in your establishment to show that you are the fastest and the best. Then you can contact myself at the chamber or Steve at City Hall with any other questions. So thank you so much for allowing us to come up here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor. In addition, I just received word that Oaklawn Hospital will also be a sponsor of the event.
We will move on now to item C under presentations, the water tower presentation with Ira Gabin. Did I pronounce that right? It's Ira. Okay, Gabin. Okay.
Good evening. My name's Ira Gabin. I'm vice president with Dixon Engineering. We're a consulting firm that specializes in water storage tank inspection and rehab up in Lake Odessa. We're working as a sub-consultant to Whiteman Associates on the rehab project for the city's water tank. It's currently out for bid. Bids open January 31st. There's specifications for all the work. And so I wanted to do three things quickly here. One, just a couple pictures to give you an idea of what's going to be going on site with the project. And then secondly, to discuss some options for lettering and logo on the existing tank. And then thirdly, it's my understanding the city has in its master plans to build a new water storage tank, which would be a different style than what you have now. And there's some other options there. So I've just assembled some photos, a couple dozen pictures total, just to give you some idea and things to think about and what some of the options are. When the project starts, it's going to be the tank's going to be completely repainted inside and out. It's going to be a brace blast clean. We're going to be removing lead-based paint. It's very dangerous, very difficult work, and obviously the tank is in a park right next to a church, and we have residences right across the road, so it's an environmentally sensitive area. So when the contractor shows up, you're going to see something that kind of looks like this picture here. They're going to be welding all sorts of things to the tank. There's going to be cables strung down. You're going to wonder, why are they doing that? And if I press the right... Uh-oh. Is it? Oh, there. And hopefully it's going to look something like that. The tank will be inside really a giant baggie. And the entire time that they are doing blast cleaning, that baggie will be in place. And on the ground will be a 30,000 CFM dust collector, basically the biggest vacuum cleaner you've ever seen. That will be connected up to an opening into the containment system. So even if a hole were to pop somewhere there, it would actually suck, as you can actually see in this picture, even though it's windy, that's actually being sucked in just a little bit. And so even if there is a hole, the dust gets pulled in instead of coming out onto the property. And this is the tank right now, and one of the issues that Albion has, like just about everybody else has, is you get the mildew growing on the bottom of the bowl of the tank. The tank has cold water in it, get condensation in the summer, dust comes up, bugs like that. It doesn't hurt the paint or anything, it just looks kind of cruddy. And so one of the things we're going to be doing in the specs is specifying a two-tone paint system. The mildew will still be there. You can wash it off, but that costs money, but if you can hide the mildew, then it's less noticeable. Jackson did both of their tanks a couple years ago, slightly different style, but you can see they basically did that same thing. There's probably some mildew there already, you just don't notice it. So that'll be one of the things you'll see that's different. Well, here's another tank, this is Buchanan, and it doesn't have to be any dark color. A lot of times it's the city, the school district colors or whatever. One of the challenges, and this is just your particular style of tank, as you can see the legs stick all the way up to the equator of the tank, and that kind of makes it a little more difficult to do any kind of fancy lettering and logo. The legs kind of are in the way. And so for tanks that just have lettering like yours, usually you kind of start right above the legs, and a lot of folks, that's all they do is just put lettering on it. You can pick any font you want. You could do fancy script, simple block letters. On Microsoft alone, there's probably 1,000 fonts. And just the fonts alone can really dress up and make a tank a little more classy looking, and it doesn't matter what font you pick, they all cost the same. The painters make one stencil and put it on. Here's one with just simple block letters down Rochester. And here's another recent one.
Quick question.
Yeah.
If you go back to the Rochester one, is that two-tone under there?
No.
Or is that gradual?
No, that's already some mildew form in there, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, and Ada Township, and when they wanted to make the Ada bigger, but right away you see one of the problems is you have to sort of fit things into these bays between the legs. When you get to logos, it becomes even more of a challenge. This is Bay City. They just did their tank, and you can see their logo, which is, you can barely see. It's a little lighthouse, I think, in a boat. That fits in one little bay, and then the lettering fits in another one. Davison did another one. Here the logo's kind of big, but now the lettering's really small, trying to stack it. So you have some limitations is all, just because of the style of the tank. But all these things that I've shown you so far are very inexpensive to do. And right now, in the specifications, we have in there to replace the lettering as is, and then we have in there to apply a logo in 2 locations to be provided by addendum, and the project bids on the 31st. So if you have some idea, if you want to do a logo, the current city logo, which is a circle, that would fit in there between 2 of the legs if you wanted to do that. But it would be best from a pricing standpoint to get, if you can come to a decision before it's bid, you always get a better price from the contractors when they're bidding than coming to them after they have the job under change order and say, hey, what would you charge us to put this logo on? And then if cost is no object, you can do this. I'll pat ourselves on the back. We just won Tank of the Year award, thanks to Finley having a lot of money, a national award for this tank, how it came out.
Wow.
So, but that's probably a little out of just about everybody's price range to do this. There was interest in putting an American flag on, maybe as a logo. And I just went through another tank with mildew on it, looking for tanks around that have flags. And you can do just a basic stencil of a flag. A lot of people do a wavy flag, which, just my opinion, I think is a little classier looking. Those of you that have, if you're heading north or south on 275 going to Metro Airport, you'll see this tank in Plymouth right hanging over the highway, and you can see that wavy flag. And then you can do literally anything else you want. It's a little dark, but that's an eagle with the flag in its claws there flying around. Clip art, any patriotic thing you want to do. Basically, all these stencils, logos cost about the same. They're not very expensive, but those are all options you could also look at doing. So then I wanted to shift gears, and I'll finish up here. If and when you go to build your new tank, it'll be one of 2 styles. One is what we'll call the pedosphere, a golf ball on a tee. And again, here you can see to hide the mildew, it's a 2-tone. And this has just got very simple lettering and a real simple leaf outline. And then you can get more elaborate with bands and stripes. These tanks, because the legs aren't in the way on the sidewall, you can use much more of it. They are curved as you get below and above, so that limits you a little bit on how much of the tank surface you can use. And you can get as fancy as you want. But most of these aren't too expensive to do. Now the other style tank is what's called a composite tank, and it's called composite because it uses different materials. That column is made out of concrete. And these are really the best ones for lettering and logo because you have a flat sidewall. It's just like a giant billboard, and you can put anything and everything you want. And again, here you'll see the underside is painted a dark color to hide the mildew. City of St. Joseph has a very similar one. And Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And
then we don't have to paint the the pedestal. I think that was one of the other things that.
Well, right, yeah, you'll notice now the composite tanks, the concrete isn't painted, which saves money long-term on maintenance. And so for the size tank that Mickey was telling me you're looking at, you'd be looking at one of these two styles. And these just give you really just an idea of some of the things that you can do without spending too much money. This is the last one I want to show you. This is the tallest, biggest, and most expensive tank ever built in Michigan. It's a 3 million gallon elevated tank. If you drive on 696 going into Detroit, this thing hangs over the highway in Farmington Hills, and it's got lettering and stuff. We love Farmington all the way around it, so there's really no limit to what you can do as far as that goes. You can use the entire side of the tank. So anyways, that would just give you an idea of some of the things you might want to think about. Any questions about the project or anything else?
You need to know this by, you said the 31st of January?
Pardon?
The 31st.
31st of January. We'd like to do, if you come up with something you want to do different on logo, probably 3 or 4 days before that, do an electronic addendum, give the bidders time to put a price together.
Okay. Are there any other questions from council? Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yep. Okay. We'll move on to item D under presentations, recognition of the Harrington Elementary School MLK essay contest winners. If you could come forward. As was stated, the winners were recognized last night and actually were able to read their speeches, so we just wanted to, as a council, acknowledge this, and I also want to acknowledge that this was something I believe that started under Mayor Wheaton. I believe that he instituted that, so just wanted to acknowledge him as well. So, City of Albion proclamation honoring the Harrington Elementary School MLK Junior Essay Contest winners. Whereas it has been a tradition in Albion over the years to hold an essay contest on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and whereas Principal Robert Giles, in partnership with the Build Albion AmeriCorps Vista initiative, did hold an essay contest at Harrington Elementary School for 4th and 5th grade students, and whereas the essay submissions were evaluated by the Vista team and Professor Jess Roberts of Albion College and the Big Read, and whereas, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, is it Anae Gabriel Gibson? Pronounce it right? Let's say it right. I'm sorry. Thank you. Kayla Oswald. Kaya. I'm sorry. I'm going to have you, because the names are here. I'm going to have you pronounce the names so I don't get it wrong. So what's your name? Dear Ann Ashton. Okay. Were declared winners of the MLK Junior Essay Contest and read their essays at the school assembly, honoring them on Friday, January 12th, 2018. And whereas these 4 children again read their essays and were presented with certificates of excellence and savings bonds from Homestead Savings Bank at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Dinner on Monday, January 15th. Now, therefore, the Albion City leadership, myself, along with the council and city manager and staff, want to recognize the words expressed by these young people and that they serve as a banner of hope for our collective future, and thank them for their dreams and aspirations so eloquently expressed in writing these essays and winning these essays, and just want to congratulate you and present each one of you with a proclamation from the city. Congratulations again. There's no public hearing. We'll move on to public comment this evening. If there's any persons addressing the council, we ask that you limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes and observe proper decorum. And on agenda items only, is there any public comment this evening on the agenda? Oh, and please state your name and address.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. John Face, 812 North Eaton Street. Come here tonight because I want to personally acknowledge Oaklawn Hospital. Many of you already know the last few weeks have been very difficult for me as I have suffered a couple medical emergencies, one that was very serious involving blood clots in my lung. And I can't stress the importance of a local hospital like Oaklawn and the doctors that are affiliated with them that bring us wonderful and outstanding medical care every day, and their commitment to our little town. They don't have to be here, but they do come here anyways. So personally, I want everyone to know that I hold Oaklawn Hospital in high esteem, and I want to thank them publicly for saving my life. Thank you.
Would you want to present on that? I can. Okay, so.
I'm not on the agenda, so I was going to wait.
Yeah, so are there any other public comments on the agenda this evening? Okay, there was one additional, we didn't know how the timing would work, but there's one additional thing I'd like to ask council to do. If we could go, maybe kind of go back to presentations, just add another presentation item E for presentation from the library director, because there's a time-sensitive fundraiser or grant thing that's going on. So,
if the board would like to add it, I'd be happy.
yeah.
So moved.
So moved. I get a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very kindly. I appreciate that. I understand how important the council's time is, so I came swiftly as I could from Sheridan Township's meeting, which is also tonight. So there's really big changes happening at the library, a few that are worth mentioning and one really big one. So in August 2016, the community, in fact, the communities, all three of them in our district, approved not only a millage renewal, but a millage renewal with a small increase. So we are beginning to see that money flow in, and we said that if the communities approved this, we would restore lost Sunday hours and lost collection materials in terms of budget. In 5 years, our collection budget dropped by half from 2011 to 2016. So the communities passed it. Every district in our community passed it, and so as of January 6th, we are now open on Sundays again from 1 to 5. We are also, as the money is flowing in, we are increasing our purchase of children's books, regular, like adult print books, large print, audio, ebook, large, all of them. Everything that we can, including additional electronic materials. I don't know how many people know that you can check out books on your Kindle or your ebook reader with your library card for free. And so, but you have to wait just like everybody else, and so we are part of a very, very large co-op that has tens of thousands of ebooks and audiobooks, so downloadable audiobooks that you can listen to through it's a software called Overdrive, and you just check it out with your library. So we've even budgeted materials to buy extra copies just for our patrons. So that has happened. We've moved to a new catalog, which we're very excited. So if you go to our library's website and click on catalog, the library catalog looks completely different now, and we're really excited. I can come back and present on that later. We have reopened. We are filling a long vacant position. It was formerly full-time. We're going to be filling it part-time, so we are looking for a part-time office coordinator. Positions are open. More details are available on the library's website, Facebook page, and at the library. We have a city representative on our board position is open, so hopefully you will be getting some more applications for that, and the council will appoint somebody to represent the city of Albion. Jim Bailing's term is done, and I want to thank him for his service. Ours is a very active board, okay? You have to not only attend monthly meetings, you have to serve on at least one of our 4 board committees. And so finding people who are willing to serve in that active of a board is sometimes difficult. So we thank everyone for their service. The last big thing is we are in the midst of a competition for a grant to win $2,500 to help digitize and make the Albion Recorder and the Albion Evening Recorder, the archive, the microfilm of it, available online. But they've added a twist this year. It is now competitive. It's not just chosen by a committee. So this week and this week only, we can send in postcards. The postcards have to have a Michigan scene on them, and they have to have hashtag DIG-Albion, D-I-G Albion, or Albion Recorder, or Albion Michigan written on them in handwriting or in paper somewhere on the postcard. And they have to be addressed to the Clark Historical Library. And we have all this information here. It's also on our Facebook page, our website. This week, if the postcards are bookmarked this week, these are worth 10 votes. But they have to be postmarked this week. We have a whole bunch of printed ones at the library. We have ones that people can color, adults or children. If you want to color the postcard, you are more than welcome. We encourage it. We also have these beautiful postcards donated by Maggie Lanou, a local artist, that has the recent snowstorm of Albion, including the Courtyard Marriott is on here. And on the back is her image, her historic image of the blizzard of 1978. 40 years ago. So that's on the back. This is Classic Albion right here. We have 200 of these and potentially more coming. All we need you to do is put your return address and something about Albion if you want. We'll leave an address. We'll stamp and mail them for you. These are worth 10 points, but they have to be postmarked this week. If you have postcards at home, go ahead and send them. We'll get you the address. The other thing is if you are on Twitter, the Twitter, we're very active on Facebook. We have 4 followers on Twitter right now. So we're not counting on Twitter to win us this grant, okay? Next week, if you hashtag DIG-Albion, it's worth 1 vote. But you can do it as many times as you want. But no, you cannot program a Twitter bot. We had that question. You cannot program a Twitter bot. It has to come from a live Twitter account. And so that information is on here as well. If we win this, it's $2,500 towards making it available online. It will not complete the whole project, but it will get us closer. But postcards only this week and Twitter only next week. So if people are willing to help, I will leave the postcards right up here with the information on how to sign them up. Thank you so much. Take them home. Help pass the word out. If you have a location where you would like to put some postcards for this week, and are willing to drop them off at the library on Thursday, we will take care of the rest. Great. And if I may not have enough here, but we can, we've got more of them at the library. So anything we can do to help push us, like if we've got another entity in town that's doing a grant, let us know. You got an event in town, let us know. The library will put you on our Facebook page. We put the Legion's chili and biscuit dinner on there. We put the MLK on there, and when it comes down to it, the people who say there's nothing happening in Albion are not paying attention. Right. And if you're not getting the e-news yet, you need to, because that's how I keep up. So, but this is something we're working on. Thank you, Mayor, for slipping us in. I really appreciate it. Information is right here, and if you would like more information on the other stuff at the library, please let me know.
Thank you. Yeah. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a quick question.
Go for it.
Does the return address have to be an Albion address?
It doesn't, as long as the postcard says Dig Albion, or it has to identify that the votes should be counted for Albion. Okay. We also, Jan Pusey gave us rights to some of her photographs, her beautiful photographs. So we have some printed ones that we did at the library too that feature some beautiful pictures of Victory Park too.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Council? No.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will move on to consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Items for individual discussion. Item A is request approval for suggested date to replace the January 3rd, 28 regular meeting. To have a motion for a date. I'd ask for a motion for the 22nd. Councilmember French.
So, in our history as being elected officials, there have been times when we have canceled meetings and not made them up. I think of July meetings, for example. Mm-hmm. So my question is this necessary?
I believe so, because I talked to the city attorney. We're required to have 2 regular meetings in every calendar month. So that was
So we've been in violation of our charter going back years.
I know well, not this council, but I think we've canceled meetings, but I don't know if we've canceled regular meetings.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Okay, and not making
The
that,
thing
okay.
is, nobody ever
Bring it up.
Nobody ever questioned whether or not we could do it, and so that this time when they did, and we looked it up.
And bring it up,
Yep.
so. Councilmember French.
I would move that we would have our second meeting on the 22nd of January.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion about that? 7 o'clock next Monday. Okay.
Makes your day.
So, seeing no discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. Item B, request approval, second approval of reading, approval of council rules of procedure.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to ask if I can make an amendment to this, to the council rules, and ask, and if it's not the place to do it, just let me know. To ask about dates of the the mayor and city manager meetings that can possibly come up with it.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So,
Well,
I have to go into it.
I was.
well, you said it was a second. You said it was a motion or amendment. Or was that discussion? Were you making an amendment, or was it just a discussion?
This is still discussion at
Okay,
this point.
discussion.
Okay, Councilmember Brown.
Yeah. Okay, so I actually had the same thought as Councilmember Lawler, but I was thinking we could probably add for a future agenda item a discussion about the next steps and what we need, in case we have to adopt a resolution as council or whatever. That was my thought, but I'm hearing you say that you're wondering if we can amend the council rules to include a set. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Councilmember French.
Okay.
Thank you. I recall that I think we had talked about it, but not dwelt on this idea that the mayor would meet regularly with the city manager. And the intent was, given the fact that it might be that a mayor will work outside of town, and therefore having meetings on a regular basis may not be as possible. What I would recommend that we do is that we would approve this second reading, so we have a set of council rules. And then next week, or in February, we actually go back and look at the language with your help, Councilwoman Lawler, and we draft a sentence that gets added to those rules, and then we just re-adopt. We as a council are given the authority to change our council rules as we see fit. They can change as many times as we wish. I would just prefer that we get this set done, since we've been on this project now for a year. And so I'd like to be able to get this work completed, give us a sense that we've accomplished something and finished something, and then next week we add the sentence. Because I think I don't want to get tied in and going, okay, we have to go back and we have to have another sub-meeting, and it just sort of slows everything down again. So I would just prefer that, but again, given where we are at the council and who's here, it will take a unanimous vote to make that happen, so.
It hasn't been approved yet, so.
No, I understand that,
but
but
afterward, the amendment, yes, Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm willing to do it any way that we see fit.
Okay.
Just as long as it gets done.
Okay, so
Since I was asked by someone in our community to try to enforce this.
Okay.
So I'm just asking that you all help me accomplish that goal.
Exactly, so we'll take that as a future agenda item for the 22nd. And we can work with the attorney and the manager and craft some language for that, so. Is there any further discussion on that? Okay. Seeing none, we'd have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
French.
Yes.
And Mayor Brown.
Yes. Item C, request approval for purchase of 2012 Vector truck for $210,000.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second.
Mayor and Council, I would like to ask Jim Lennerson, Director of Public Services, to come forward. But as he comes forward, recall while we were doing the capital improvement plan, one of the items that was identified for 2018 was the acquisition of the Vector truck, which, excuse me, we had an estimated cost of $350,000. The current one requires extensive repairs, and we were fortunate to identify a slightly used one at a lesser cost. I believe it's $210,000 was the purchase price. And Jim, do you want to go into any of the details?
Good evening, Council. I believe that you have had in your package a letter of communication informing you of the situation and what has brought us here tonight, basically, in this proposed purchase. The current unit we have is 17 years old now. We're looking at approximately $60,000 in repair, and that's just to the working mechanisms of the truck itself, not to include the engine of the truck, the chassis, or anything else. We did find, as Manager Mitchell has stated, a 2012 that's in excellent shape, given the year. I guess I would recommend at this time that we look at that purchase. I have communicated via letter to at least 3 local lending institutions, and I'm waiting to hear back on their proposals for us. The ones I have talked to indicated they'd be more than happy to work with us on a financial agreement. In the packet as well, you should have gotten tonight, lease purchase option and some pictures. The blue and white truck, the first pictures are the new one is proposed. The back page is our current vehicle. As you can see, I took some close-ups of pitting, rusting, holes, etc. in our water tanks, some of the other equipment. The rear of the truck, in the debris tank, there's a rust spot developing that's probably going to rust through before long. So I guess, again, it would be my recommendation that we move forward with this. My hope is to have information back from the local lending institutions by the 22nd meeting, and I will attempt to get those to you for your suggestion at that point, along with the lease purchase option that's been afforded.
So the, is it, okay. So one question I have, so the total is $210,000, and so if you get the loan, how long are you expecting to pay that off?
I'm looking at 5 years.
Okay. So is there any difference between, let's see. Well, so I guess the question is, because I had asked about the lease thing, what's your thought on the lease? Why? What are pros and cons about leasing in your?
Well, having not seen any information from the local institutions, I would much rather afford them our business, I guess, as opposed to the lease.
Okay.
To start with, also you'll note on the lease purchase option, it talks about an interest rate of 3.75%, which is based on and pending when if we enter into a lease agreement with them, so it may be higher. I would say potentially higher than lower, but who knows?
Yeah, well, Councilmember Spice and then Councilmember Brown.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Is our current sewer cleaner operational right now?
It is currently in operation. As stated in the letter, we've had the water tanks repaired on several occasions. They have to be Heliart because they're aluminum tanks, which is expensive. We're at a point where the new holes and the new leaks are opening up in areas that we can no longer repair that way. So we have resorted to the use of, yes, flex sealed tape, as seen on TV, as I put in my letter. And it's slowed things down so far. But again, they're looking at potentially $25,000 just to put new water tanks on it. And when you're looking at a 17-year-old truck, how much are we willing to invest in something that may or may not last us?
Oh, okay. So then, with the purchase of, or straight lease purchase of this sewer cleaner, then the work that you do will not be hindered. We can move on and move forward and get the work accomplished that we've been slowed by this
Correct.
piece of a...
Correct. It's a similar truck to what we currently have, and it'll afford us the opportunity to be able to continue to deliver service to the community. If you remember, not all that long ago, Fleece and Vandenbrink were in and give a executive summary of the SAW grant. And with that, they talked about potential collection system issues. If we don't have the truck to clean those and keep them clean, you're looking at potentially a major backup, which could cost the city a lot of money.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown, Councilmember French.
Thank you, Mayor. So which fund would this potentially come out of?
The water and the sewer.
The water and sewer fund. And then one more quick question. So this expense was not included in the 2018 budget that we just adopted, correct? Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember French.
Thank you. Jim, I think what I hear you saying is that we have really two separate issues. We have the age of the truck and a truck, right? So the bed, the engine, the transmission, the radiator system, whatever it is, right? A 17-year-old truck is a 17-year-old truck.
Correct.
The repairs you're talking about are dealing only with the stuff that's on the truck.
Correct.
And so I see this as replacing a 17-year-old truck with a 5-year-old truck. And that means that we get more miles on the truck, we get newer equipment on the truck. So I support this wholeheartedly. I think it's long overdue, actually.
Thank you.
So I do have a couple questions. So it looks like, okay, so the current truck we have has, you said aluminum tanks. If we had to replace them, or we replaced them, let's say we did the $60,000 and we replaced just the equipment on there, would we replace that with aluminum, or could we replace that with another material?
It would be replaced with aluminum that is currently on it. That's for a weight issue.
Okay, so it wouldn't be possible to replace them with like a plastic tank or whatever?
Not to my knowledge, no. Okay. Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And then with the new vehicle, because one of the things I think there were repair issues, and so I'm wondering, so the reason I asked about lease is if you have a lease and something goes wrong, right, during that lease, we're paying the lease.
I do not know about a warranty at this point.
Okay.
I will delve into that and make certain that we're going to have things covered as best I can, as best they will offer. And I'll report back to you hopefully by the 22nd also with financing options.
Okay, so when you come back to us, you're going to come back to us with, let's say, only the information for a loan purchase, or are you going to come back with information too with potentially with what a warranty would be with the lease if there have to be repairs?
I will try to bring back warranty as well as potential financing options for you.
But just for the loan?
I'm sorry?
But just for the loan, or also for the lease?
I can bring you information as far as the financial end of it, whether it be leasing or whether it be through one of the local banks, and warranty as well.
Okay. Councilmember French.
So I guess I'm confused by the comment about leasing. It's not been my understanding that we have an opportunity to go to a manufacturer of a vacuum truck and lease it like we lease a car. Right? So this is not coming from, this is coming from, that had been from a city that is now selling it.
This is through the manufacturer that city had bought it from originally.
Right.
My understanding is there's an outside entity that will do the leasing for us, potentially.
Right.
Because it might be, you know, six one way, half a dozen the other, but I'm just concerned about, like, if something breaks down on it, let's say 3 years from now, do we fit the bill, complete bill, versus if we were under a lease, would there be some kind of?
But that would be a warranty issue.
Yeah, but then also with the lease thing, you know, depending, you know, you might get a newer truck or equipment, you know, if you're for leasing. You see what I'm saying? It's like you could keep getting newer. Councilmember French.
Yeah, thank you. I hear what you're saying, Mayor. I think the issue is that you're basically asking for an insurance policy. And so my concern is that the cost that we would be paying for a lease would be greater than what we'd be paying in terms of, because you're asking for replacement costs. So you think about the car analogy. If I buy a Liberty Mutual Insurance replacement of my car, that costs more money than if I'm getting an insurance policy that's just, if I lease a car, my out-of-pocket at the front end is going to be more than if I just make the monthly payments.
Well, what I have in mind is more for, like, you know, budgeting purposes, because with a lease you have a certain set of time, a set rate. If something goes wrong, the warranty covers it, and then once the lease is up, we could lease a newer vehicle if that's an option. But then what happens is if you make a loan and something catastrophic happens and we anticipate it, we fully, you know, let's say it's out of the warranty, it's a day after the warranty,
Right.
we fully foot the bill for that that cost, and we're still dealing at that point with the truck that's what if it's already 4 or 5 years old, now it's 10 years old, and then this major equipment thing happened. So that's you know, it might be similar costs, but to me it just seems that's something we should investigate. So that's all I'm saying.
I'll do some research.
One of the other considerations is whether we own the vehicle at the end of the lease. Similar to with the public safety vehicle, although it's a lease, it's really a lease to own. Under normal leases, at the end of the 5-year period or whatever the lease payment period, you don't own the vehicle, or there's a cost for acquiring the vehicle. So that's another component cost that will have to be identified.
The other question I have, oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Brown, then I asked my question.
I passed, Mayor. My question, it was addressed.
Okay. The other question I have is, do we still have like a mutual aid? I know we have, when it comes to like fire trucks, we have
we do.
Fire suppression, we have that. But
There is a countywide mutual aid response agreement. City of Battle Creek, Springfield, Albion, Homer, Marshall, maybe a few other smaller communities are in that. I know of at least 2 or 3 other jet trucks around. There is also a rental option. It's $4,000 a week.
That's a little too much.
Just thought I'd bring it to light.
Okay. So just for clarity, what you're asking the council to approve tonight is just authorization to proceed to gather this information, or are we approving the loan? Are we approving you to go and get more information too about?
I am asking for permission to give the okay to purchase this vehicle, whether it be through a loan or through a leasing situation.
Okay.
And I will bring that information to you on the 22nd, provided I have it.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Is there any other discussion from council? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, we'll have a roll call vote on that.
Councilmember Lawler?
Yes.
Spicer?
Yes.
French?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
And Mayor Brown?
Yes. Request approval contract with the Albion Clerical Alliance ACA effective October 1st, 2017 through, it shouldn't be spelled like that, September 30th, 2020.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Manager Mitchell. Dr. Mitchell.
Mayor and Council, if you recall, we were into the union negotiations this past year with all 4 of the unions that represent employees in the city of Albion. We already had the letter of understanding with all of them. We discovered towards the end of the year that there are some labor laws that impact some of the language that we had in the contracts relative to compensation time, and that whether you had to declare early by December whether it was going to be used that year or not. So there was a complication in the language with most of our contracts. So we met with all 4 of the unions and we worked out those details. So that's why there was a delay in getting that to you. But all of them are for the 3-year contracts.
Okay. Councilmember French.
Is it possible in the interest of time to approve all 4 of these since the language has been, we purviewed those languages? Do we need to?
I think they're different.
Just hypothetically, you could take it together. You can just say you want to take items D, E, F, and G unless there's any.
I mean, I guess my question is there any objection from any of the council members from doing that collectively, combining those? If there's no legal objection to, I mean,
as long as you're doing a roll call vote, it applies to all of them.
okay. Okay, so I'm gonna do 2 things. I'm gonna combine them and then we'll have a vote on them. Okay, so we'll do that. So, can I have a motion to combine agenda items D through G together?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is it discussion?
Yes, I'm just noticing the expiration dates on these kind of differ. They're not all the same exact. So Attorney Harkness, that's not an issue?
No,
okay.
The contract expiration dates aren't going to matter. I mean, for purposes of voting on all these at the same time. No,
it's just as they're written. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the combination say aye. Yes.
Aye.
Excuse me. Yes.
Yes.
Sorry about that. And so now we will go forward with those have been combined. Do I have a motion to approve each of these contracts with the corrections? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing no discussion, we'll proceed with the roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. We'll skip to item H, discussion of ordinance number 2018-01, medical marijuana ordinance, and allow the city attorney to kick us off here.
Okay, so from our last discussion when we were here a little while ago, there were a lot of changes and things that we've integrated. One thing that I want to discuss with council, if you turn to in the ordinance that's in your packet, it's about 4 pages in, section 22-203, where we talk about the number of facilities. I had some conversations with the chief of public safety. I had some conversations with the city manager, and kind of the discussion was nobody really knows how time and labor intensive this whole thing is going to be because it's kind of a new venture for the city. So in terms of what's going to be too much for the police department, what's going to be manageable for the other departments, my suggestion to the rest of the staff was, well, it's always going to be easier to add more facilities in the future if we find, for example, five is manageable, we can take on more, as opposed to, say, authorizing 10 and then finding out it's too much, but then we have facilities that are licensed, and then to try to take those licenses back creates just a nightmare. So my suggestion was to start with 5 facilities of each type that we've authorized. Honestly, I don't think we're going to get 5 for each, but if we find that the numbers are manageable and the city can handle more, we can always go back and add more to it. I just think it's going to be far easier to add than to try to take away. And like I said, it's kind of an experiment for the city, so I think until the city gets comfortable with administering this very detailed and new ordinance, because it's going to involve my office, the finance office, the planning department, public safety, clerk, and the manager's office, and the city council. I guess my thought was, let's get our feet wet before we dive in.
Okay.
So that's number one for feedback from the council.
I have no problem with that, Councilmember French.
Yeah, I think that's a nice place to start. In your research, did you find if, you know, in Colorado or other states that are doing this, is there a ratio that's out there that we can latch onto? I mean, I'm okay with 5 across the board, but I was just wondering. I'm thinking specifically of the safety or testing facility, whether or not, you know, is it typically a 1-for-1, or is it?
I guess the short answer to your question is no. Municipalities are all over the board.
Okay, that's all.
Not just in Michigan, but elsewhere. A lot of municipalities are, I should say, it's probably an even split. Half of them are putting a cap on it. Half of them are just unlimited. It just depends on where you look.
Okay.
So, like I said, I think I tend to err more on the side of caution, and I like I said, we can always add to it, but I find my thought is it would be far more problematic if we found out that we say authorize 10 facilities of each type, found out we were in way over our heads, and then to say, well, we're going to revoke licenses on 5 of those. That's like painting a target on City Hall. So to avoid that potential problem, I say start a little bit more conservatively, and then we can expand if it is manageable.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. The next thing that we have to talk about, if you turn to section 22-212, one thing that I guess I need the council to clarify a little bit is, we had talked about those facilities that are located within public parks, places of religious worship, and things like that. You had indicated that you wanted fences at 250 feet. Well, I guess my question was, does that mean if they're 250 feet or closer? Does that mean if they're at least 250 feet away, they have to have a fence? So what I did, as a suggestion to council, and this is, just something I discussed with our planning department, I was assuming that you meant that if they were, that you didn't want them within 250 feet of those locations because of the geographic restrictions that we talked about at the last meeting. I put a high and a low on it so that they couldn't be within 250 feet, but if they're within 1,000 to 250 feet, they have to have the fence. I don't know if that's what you intended. That's kind of what I took away from it, but I need some feedback on that. And number 2, the fence, we didn't really have any specifics about the fence, so I discussed that with our John Tracy, our planning department director, and he suggested a chain link fence at least 6 feet high, and structured in such a way that precludes access from the general public, which I think is pretty standard. But as to the distance requirements, I need a little bit of feedback.
My understanding was, because basically the proximity to parks and churches were making significant cuts into that area. So my understanding was if you were further than 250 feet, you're okay. But if you were within 250 feet, you had to have a fence. Okay. So if you were that close, you could still exist and operate, but you had to have a fence. Because I think that's how we got around. But I think the question then became was the fence solid or chain? Because I remember, I don't have the maps with me, but I remember the maps that Director Tracy had basically had the perimeters in, there's a border around everything. And I think if I remember correctly, we said 250 if you were that closer, you had to have a fence. But maybe I'm thinking in my mind that we said maybe the nature of the fence, but maybe we didn't. But Councilmember French.
So I hear what you're saying. I remember us talking about having some sort of visual barrier.
Yeah.
But I don't think we, because you can get chain link that has that fabric, interwoven, so you can't see through it. I think that's what we were focusing on. I disagree with you only in that I don't remember us saying that you could put a facility that was inside 250 feet. Because what my worry would be is that you would have some vacant property next door to a church, and you would allow, as long as they had a visible, non-see-through fence, you could build next to a church. And I thought that we had decided, or next to a park, and so I thought we had set the minimum at 250. And that we also wanted a fence. If it was 250 to, and I don't remember whether we said 500 or what it was, but I thought what we were thinking about was the industrial park section of town and that part on Austin Avenue that is within 250 feet of that church, and whether or not we were going to now just say that property is not allowed, or whether we could say that would be a fenced space.
Well,
and so that's, I can't remember.
That's the wonder of technology. I'm going to go back to that and watch the study session, but I get what you're saying, because I think the 250 pushed it back enough, or small enough where it didn't eat too much in. But then I'm trying to remember why we put the fence with some kind of more solid barrier.
Yeah, I think if I recall the discussion, again, I would have to look at me, but what I had in my notes was fence at 250 feet, and I thought the discussion was that the footage got pared down to 250 because of the geographical restrictions, but that because the council was willing to have it closer because of those restrictions, he wanted a fence if it was going to be that close.
So then what?
So I guess number one, I just need clarification. Do you want that within the 250 feet or no? And then if no, I guess my suggestion is to put a high and a low on it, say, or just say, do they all have to have fences around it? Or do you want to say if they're within 1,000 feet of these areas, between 1,000 and 250 feet, you have to have a fence around them? I mean, whether we say you put in the plastic or the fabric in the fence to make it opaque or whatever.
Yeah. So I think in this case, I think Councilmember French might be right about that, because we wouldn't. There's a reason why the 250 is there. I think because it was originally was like 1,000 and 500, and then we brought it down.
We brought it down.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So the question, so I have no problem with saying, okay, anything closer than 250, you can't have that. But at what point? So I guess my question is, at what point do you remove the requirement? At what distance? Was that 1,000?
I put 1,000 just for a number.
Okay.
You could make it 500.
I just
Councilmember French, and then we'll.
Yeah, I think.
I wasn't here. I don't even know what you're talking
about. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I've already spoken, so I think someone else needs to speak. If
No.
Councilmember Brown.
That's the.
Thank you. I have nothing. I wasn't at the meeting. That's all I was. I was absent, so I don't remember what you discussed.
Okay, Councilmember French.
Trying to keep our council rules in place.
Go ahead.
John Tracy, Director of Planning, Building, and Code. I think there's probably a couple different ways of looking at a fence. If you have chain link with visibility through it, you can see if anybody's trying to go through the fence or make it through and into the area of the building. If you're looking at it for security around there, make sure someone doesn't get access to the building. If you have a fence that is either chain link with material in it so you don't see the building, I don't know if that may hamper public safety when they go by an area of that type to see if someone is maybe outside the building trying to make access. And since all the growing and the operations of growing and or processing is to be totally within inside the building, The way I would look at it myself, my own opinion, is that fence as a security measure.
So that's a good point. So the other question I'd have then is, I know, sometimes you have the kind of razor wire, or you can do the kinds that are kind of, the walls like this and it goes like that with the bar. Maybe, I don't know what the technical description of that, but maybe require, so it's not necessarily the spiral where it's really obvious, but at least the other.
Currently in the fence ordinance, in certain areas such as industrial, barbed wire fence at the top is allowed to begin with, so
Okay.
you can make that.
So I think that should be a component, it's just visible with the barbed wire. Councilmember French.
I'm going to push back just a little bit, just because whenever I see barbed wire, I just think it sends a really negative connotation about the community that you're in. If you've got stuff that's held back with barbed wire, I just don't like it. I'd rather have a taller fence and no barbed wire than barbed wire. You see, where do you see barbed wire? You see it in prisons, you see it in high security areas and I'm thinking on, driving down Austin Avenue, people coming into the city, they see a building with barbed wire on it. I just worry that sends the wrong message. I can be convinced otherwise, but that's my initial response, so.
I have a question for
Yes.
Attorney Harkness, if I might. Colin, what I'm having a little bit of difficulty with is, what are the specifications that are more appropriate to be handled by the Planning Commission and the ordinance that they will be recommending, and what items are more appropriate for the policing ordinance, which is what the council is adopting?
Well, and I think, and that's a good point, I think we can set the distance requirement and we can just say a fence as required by, for any area zone for
Medical marijuana.
marijuana facilities, or we can let them deal with the fencing aspect of it, and if you can just give me an idea as to the distance, they can come up with the specifics for.
Councilmember French, and then.
I would just recommend that we basically, to answer our attorney's request, that we would say fencing was required between 250 and 500 feet.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, and just so we're clear, you had,
excuse me,
that is just for parks and places of religious worship. At the last meeting, you directed 500 feet from school, and I just want to make sure we're good with that. Okay.
No, but that includes, because I know, for example, when you think about.
It includes
school property, because there are fields back there.
Right, it's 500 feet of real property comprising any public or private elementary, licensed child care facility, vocational or secondary school. I can't remember the code. Was it B1 or what was the B3? Was that the? Does it cut? Does do the fields behind the Opportunity School, Old High School, does that cut into that, the 500? Okay. I don't know, that was the number that you guys gave me last time. Okay.
It cuts into B drive access.
Oh, Councilman French.
I think it cuts into B drive access on the eastern side of Eaton Street, but not a lot. I mean, I think, isn't the dialysis center and the
medical offices.
Medical offices. I don't think Peter's Place, whatever that, Full Moon.
B drive all the way down along that area is B3.
Right.
And then the school is actually in a residential.
Right, but I'm just trying to think of what 500 feet looks like in that range, how much it's.
Because what I'm saying is we're including the fields that are.
Right. If you're looking at the area that school is on, so that would be within the 500 feet of that school property, because that school property goes back a substantial distance.
Yeah. Right. That's what we're thinking.
So.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So is it the school property that we're considering or the school building?
Property.
It's the real
Property.
property.
So I mean, maybe we just need to slash everything to just 250.
It's up to you guys.
Because the other side, I can't remember who mentioned that, but there's potential development even on the other part of on the west side of B3 with, a potential religious organization. So that's going to make some. Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So this tonight is a discussion item. I'm asking if we can think about these things and maybe take action next Monday. That's it.
Councilman Friend. Okay.
I think we're pretty close. I think I'm okay with what I'm concerned about the schools is proximity. And we had talked about 1,000 feet. And I think I still feel pretty strongly about that, but maybe it's 1,000 feet without a fence, 500 feet with a fence.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. I'd like, Mayor, to find out, are we in any danger of running afoul of any timeline? If we can have the city attorney, if we do postpone this? Because
no,
I'd like to review the tape from our session that we had, the study session, to recall what exactly we said and why. I just don't want to say I'm okay with, and I don't want to be okay with any deal. I'm certain that I have an answer and that I know what I'm voting for. So I would agree with Councilman Brown.
One question I do have is, so how many outstanding pieces, like decisions, do we have that you need from us?
Other than this is the last one right here.
Oh.
Everything else is good to go.
Do we? So, I mean, considering that, can we? You think we can find a way to determine that? Because this is the last thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I guess I could suggest to you is I mean, maybe you can continue the discussion at the next meeting, and then because I'm going to have it set up for voting on the first two meetings in February and effective in March.
Oh, okay. That's fine. So we just put it back on the agenda on the 22nd.
I'm sorry.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. As an action item, right now it's just a discussion.
Well, we just give official direction to approve that. So, yeah, that's fine.
A study session, because I can't remember why we said.
Okay, so you're going to discuss, finalize the distance section in the next meeting.
Distance section.
Yes.
Okay. So.
But then including the others. Well, you're going to draft.
Yeah, I'll have everything. You bring it back as a discussion item, just let me know if you want to change schools now to 250 now. We can do that before you do a first reading.
Okay.
The only other thing that I would have for council tonight, I mean, like I had just said, assuming we follow the timeline of the first reading at the first meeting in February, second meeting at the second meeting in February, the ordinance would be effective March 19th. Something that's going to need to happen between now and then is the council's going to have to, and maybe this is something to add to the agenda coming up, and I don't know, it might be kind of short notice, but we need to talk about license fee and we need to talk about application fee.
Okay.
And actually this Monday may be too quick because I know the departments are going to need time to figure out how to justify those two fees.
Okay.
The other thing is we had previously discussed the stacking of licenses. I went back and I had a conversation with our manager about this. I went back and reviewed the emergency rules of licensing and regulatory affairs had put out regarding those, and there's actually a provision that I don't think either of us were aware of that indicates that we're not permitted to do any local ordinances regulating operation at the same location for growers, processors, and provisioning centers. They refer to doing stacked licenses for just Class C growers, that I think we could touch, but my suggestion was, since really all we were talking about is whether or not we would have growers and processors under the same roof, I think my suggestion was we just don't address stacking at all, unless it becomes an issue in the future, and we can always amend it. I mean, I can guarantee the council, we're gonna have to amend this ordinance several times as this whole medical marijuana act continues to grow and evolve, but I think this is a good first start.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank
Okay.
you.
We'll move on to item I, request to approve resolution 2018. I shouldn't say, that should be -2. Oh, that's an ordinance, I'm sorry, resolutions, yeah. -01, performance resolution for governmental agencies.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Manager Mitchell.
Mayor and council, this is a required annual application resolution that's required by the Michigan Department of Transportation to allow for the permitting within the state highway right-of-ways, and also designates the staff persons who will be the department contacts.
Okay. Any discussion from council? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember French.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Lawler.
Yes.
Spicer.
Yes.
And Mayor Brown.
Yes. Item J, request approval resolution 2018-2, appointment. Okay. Appointment of Kenneth Snyder, a City of Albion representative to the Calhoun County Consolidated Dispatch Authority, a term from January 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2019. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Support.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So we didn't have applications in our packets, and I sent out an email, and our city clerk did address this with me. I appreciate it. I just wanted to speak on it. They've already served in these.
He has, yes. Or it was two separate.
Oh, there's two. Where are the other
We're
ones?
voting separate.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so he's already served in this capacity, and this is a reappointment, so to speak. Okay, so thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Lawler.
Yes.
Spicer.
Yes.
French.
Yes.
And Mayor Brown.
Yes. Request approval of Board of Commissioner reappointment, Nydia Wolf, reappointment to the Downtown Development Authority Board, expiration 12/31/2018. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Lawler.
Yes.
Spicer.
Yes.
French.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
And Mayor Brown.
Yes. Future agenda items. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So just to make sure we're with Councilmember Lawler's suggestion, the next steps following the presentation from Attorney Smith, if we could add that. And I have a concern. It may need to be a future agenda item, I'm not sure. But the stoplight at the corner of Eaton and Erie Street, you know, the stoplight's covered up right now, and it's that two-way. How do we get the light back up and running?
We don't.
I thought that was a temporary.
It is.
And it's gonna stay like that for how long?
Well, they're gonna take it down as soon as
If you answer, I know your voice, but the reason I'm asking is because I have had residents in Precinct 3 approach me about that. And then driving through there myself, I was thinking, Yeah, we probably need this light up and running. So I didn't know how long. I knew initially it was supposed to be temporary. I didn't know how long it was going to be the way it is now, and I wanted to discuss it and get some understanding of how long it's going to be the way it is.
If I could respond. Yes. The temporary light was there for the construction season, and right now there isn't a plan for construction to have an alternative route. That, as I mentioned earlier, may change, but as of right now, it would be reactivated in the spring during the completion of the project. But things are fluid at the present time because of the condition of the road.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. Mayor, a future agenda item. I believe it's a future agenda item that we will be, at some point, Mr. Leonardson will be bringing recommendations to council with regard to recommended streets for repair, replacing. And I was wondering if council will be able to provide suggestions for street repairs and replacement. I know we discussed this at some point in the past. I just can't recall what we decided was going to happen.
Yes, there will be a presentation. There's a couple of components. One is we need to have enough set aside for the larger project, and then determining what's available after that. At that point, it's definitely a good idea to identify which local street projects we would want to take a look at.
Yes, I'm just wondering, the larger project was going to be, do we know?
That's Erie Street. I'm sorry, I'm drugged.
Is it? We're not talking about Irwin, right?
Just say Erie Street.
Okay, well, I was just wondering because I know that a couple of council members have recommendations for streets, and I didn't know if it was going to come to a point of where we had to decide which and where, and I thought as soon as we can get to that and get that out the way, that's what I was getting at. So
right, and we're working on getting an estimate of what the local match might be required for the larger street project. And there has been a process in place in past years where we try to rotate among the precincts.
Right. And
we do have that information available for you as well.
Okay. Well, I know I'm out of the running, so. Okay.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. And I wanted to, and maybe we can get an update or an explanation at the next meeting, but there was a social media complaint. A lot of the residents did live in Precinct 3 about the condition of the roads as far as like the plowing and the timing of the plowing and just the roads after being plowed still being very slippery. So I encourage the residents to come tonight and voice their opinions, and none of them are here, but I did want to bring it up as their representative to say, you know, there's been some talk and some feelings about the conditions of the roads after the snow. So if, I don't know if something's different or not, but if we could just address that possibly at the 22nd meeting, if not, maybe one of the meetings in February. But I just didn't want to leave it lingering. I wanted to bring it to council's attention and to Dr. Mitchell's attention. So, thank you.
Are there any other future agenda items from council this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to a motion to excuse absent council members. Both council members Barnes and Reed did notify that they would not be in attendance this evening. So is there a motion to excuse them?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Public comment. Persons addressing city comment can limit their comments to no more than 3 minutes. We ask that you observe proper decorum, state your name and address, and this is the general public comment period. So Are there any public comments?
My name is Dwayne Steiger. I reside at 171 Woodridge Drive in Battle Creek. I am an entrepreneur in the cannabis industry, and I just wanted the council to reconsider allowing the stacking of the grow and the processing license under the same roof. That poses in the business, because Harkness Law Firm was just mentioning that his recommendation excuse me, was to not allow that. As far as the business is concerned, it's a huge leap for us to have those two entities separated. The state has approved that they reside under the same roof, and I was just hoping that the council would follow suit and do the same. Without that, we would have to pay transportation fees for every batch that gets tested, for every single time product leaves for testing, for leaves for anything. Another fee is accrued by the grower. So having that under the same roof for the processing as well will allow us to go only just to testing and then not have to pay again to go to a processing facility as well. Just to take that into consideration, I don't really see there a need as far as public safety or any concerns not to have them together. And as far as fences, I don't see why you wouldn't have a fence around a marijuana business. I've been in the industry a long time. Just safety for our children, safety for the community is first. Regardless of distance from a school or a church, I'm going to have a fence around my business, whether it is in Albion or a different city. I'm going to have surveillance, which is required, 24-hour surveillance, off-site capture of the data. So the security and the safety is there, and I feel that the fence is a big part of it. I mean, I want it to be tasteful. I talked to the EDC because I'm looking at a bunch of properties in the industrial park, and I said if we were on Michigan Ave, if it was up to me, I wouldn't put chain link just because, again, it's not tasteful. I don't want barbed wire, but I would put something tasteful. But a fence, I believe, is a good idea, to say the least. So
thank you.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Is there any further public comment this evening?
Janice Best, 710 South Eaton Street.
Juanita Solis Kidder, 1211 Edwards Street. And we're here on behalf of Citizens to Beautify Albion and our annual Men Who Cook fundraiser coming up February 18th at the First Baptist Church on Haven Road between 12:30 and 2 o'clock. So we welcome the men in the community to come to this fundraiser, and it's just a big thing for the community, just like our dinner last night, bringing the community together to share the meal. And the end result is, of course, the fundraising for Citizens to Beautify Albion to buy those flowers that welcomes everybody into the community.
So we have sent out some of our invitations to the potential cooks. Got some more to send out and more to contact, but we're always looking for more cooks because we have our long-term cooks. People have been doing it for a long time. They're still there, but then people as they get older and older, maybe they're not there anymore for some reason or another. So we need some of the younger ones to come along. If you do cook, then you don't have to pay for your ticket because that's you've already spent a lot of money to do the cooking and a lot of time, and so we appreciate that. Tickets are $7, $3 for children. They haven't gone up in I don't know how many years it's been, many years. And it's a lot of fun. This will be our second year in that new location, and it worked really well for us last year. The parking was a lot better. So if y'all have any questions, let us know. If you know someone who might want to cook,
sign him up already.
Yeah, well, yeah, some people we have in pen instead of pencils. So, yep. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Yep. And then actually, as my own personally, the thing about the water tower, my opinion would be don't put a logo on there. Just make it nice and plain and simple Albion. Because you don't want anybody walking, driving past and like, what is that? And then have an accident. So I think it looks better that way.
Thank you. Commissioner Tompkins.
Mr. Mayor, council members, City Manager Mitchell, residents of the City of Albion, and folks watching this evening, good evening. My name is Gary Tompkins, and I'm your County Commissioner. First, I want to take the opportunity to wish each and every one of you a Happy New Year, and hopefully 2018 is off to a great start. And officially, you can sign me up as a man who cooked. We'll see what I can come up with at that, so stay tuned to see what that looks like. Exactly. Might be interesting. We'll see. Exactly. All right, off to my report. At our last commissioners meeting, we officially approved the recommendation to reappoint Cheryl Mitchell to the Cowan County Board of Health. So congratulations on your reappointment to the Cowan County Board of Health, which I think is very important to have folks on the east side of the county to have representation, and certainly it's great to have you on that board. We also approved our commissioners meeting dates for 2018, which are the first and third Thursdays of the month, like usual, no change with the exception of April and July, which April will be Tuesday the 10th and July will be the 19th. All right, word from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Cowan County has received notification that the MDNR has recommended the acquisition of the 65-acre parcel of land in Albion Township and ultimately development of the property into a major trailhead and public recreation area for eastern Cowan County. The trailhead will serve several recreational assets, including the Iron Belt Trail, which is being developed through the city of Albion, and then through the Albion College's Equestrian Center before reaching the proposed trailhead location. So yet another very positive thing, certainly, for the city of Albion moving forward. So it's great to hear that. Good information. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services now has included, unfortunately, Cowan County as part of the ongoing Southeast Michigan hepatitis A outbreak. This change in status reflects updated surveillance and enhances coordination to prevent hepatitis A transmission. The hepatitis A is a serious, highly contagious liver disease caused by the hepatitis A virus, and it's often transmitted through food or water contaminated with feces, although yet no common sources of food, beverages, or drugs have been identified as a potential source of this infection within the Southeast Michigan outbreak at this point in time. Transmission appears to be through direct person-to-person contact and illicit drug use. Since August 1st, 2016, according to the MDHHS, 658 hepatitis A cases resulting in over 539 hospitalizations and 22 deaths have been reported in Southeast Michigan. The best way to prevent the hepatitis A is getting vaccinated and good hand washing as a normal procedure. People who believe they may have been exposed to hepatitis A who have symptoms should contact their healthcare provider immediately, and then anyone who wants to get vaccinated should contact either their healthcare provider or the Cowan County Health Department as well. So it's obviously becoming a very serious outbreak, certainly in Southeast Michigan, so something to keep a very close eye on. And then finally, my monthly newsletter is available, as you all folks know. It's available on a monthly basis. It's available at the Albion District Library, and it's a great resource to know what's going on in and around Cowan County as well as the 7th District. But just in closing, before I do close, I will say it's been an honor and privilege to serve and represent you folks as well as the City of Albion residents and you folks watching at home to represent you in 2017. I'm looking for an even better 2018. So any questions for me? If not, you guys all have a wonderful evening, all right? Take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
J. Loomis, 408 West Ash Street. Thank you very much. Someone that uses the Vector truck that the sewer department runs right now weekly at this time of year. I have to collect my thoughts for a minute. I'm sorry. I used to vacuum when I had my kids and they were young, and the vacuum cleaner makes a very interesting noise when it sucks up a toy. Multiply that by about 70. And the Vector truck makes a very interesting noise when it stops vacuuming up water. When you're in the hole fixing a water main, that it's not terror, but it's reason for concern very quickly. You guys do provide, the city does provide us with very good clothing, very good Carhartts, very good boots, but 60 pounds of pressure of water coming at you very rapidly, that doesn't take very long for it to move up. I'm standing here to say thank you. I've used the existing Vector truck for 17 years, and it's been very useful. In the last maybe year or two, the Vector truck has, I don't know how else to say it, burped. It stops working. And that is, as I said, for the people that I work with, that work in the hole with me, all of us, very much thank you for putting the investment into getting another truck, a newer one.
Thank you. Are there any further public comment this evening? Okay, seeing no further public comment, I will move forward and entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support. Moved in second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.